What's going on? What it do? What you looking like? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. Coming to you live again as usual. It's our Thursday conversation. The Eye of the Tiger through the Eye of the Tiger with Coach Bernard Clark Jr., Robert Morris University head coach. What's good, Coach?
Doing great, Pitch. You know that. How you doing today?
I'm blessed. I can't complain, man. I'm
I
blessed.
hear you. Yeah, man. Everything's going well, man. Practice went well on Tuesday. Probably the best decision I made was today. It was 26 degrees outside, so we went inside and practiced in the gym, man. It's too cold out there, bro. I can't. I'm never gonna get used to the cold. I don't know how you do it, Pitch. I know you live here most of your life. This cold is serious. It's about 20 degrees outside. Scary.
But see, I mean, I do love it. I love it more so for football purposes. Like, I
I hear
like
you.
playing football in the snow, and I
Hmm.
like playing football in the rain. I don't know why. It's just, it was always fun.
You know, the rain's good because I'm from Florida. We got a lot of rain. Rain doesn't bother me. And I guess it's more if I played in it, it probably wouldn't bother as much. But I'm not playing no more. I'm on the
Right.
sideline watching it. It's
Yeah.
it's crazy. When I got drafted back in 1990 to the Cincinnati Bengals, and I was in Florida playing ball my whole life. When I got up there, and the first day we was outside practicing in the snow, I'm like, hey, we ain't got no indoor. We can't get out of this snow. What's going on? So I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this cold weather, but I don't want to get used to this cold weather because, like I told you last time, I can live here. I want to coach at Rob Morris for a long time. I want to be here for a long time, but I'm not retiring to Pittsburgh. It just ain't gonna happen.
So it's funny, but you guys, the only thing that's at a disadvantage for you guys is that you're on that hill. So it's like y'all are catching that wind at its most
Pitch,
fiercest moment.
pitch. Come on, pitch. Everybody's on the hill in Pittsburgh. That's all y'all got. That's all y'all got is hills in Pittsburgh.
True. True. Oh man. So said practice went good on
practice
Wednesday.
was, practice was good. Like Monday, we talked about it. It was a good walkthrough. Guys had a good time on Tuesday. Practice was intense. Practice was had a good purpose behind it. Yesterday, practice was well. They're executing, doing some good things, and some of the decisions we decided to make this week as coaches are really panning out as far as some of the guys we're putting in there. And today, like I said, even though we had a walkthrough this morning, just watching the walkthroughs, the guys are tuned in, they're channeled
Yeah.
in, and they're doing some good things. Like I said, the decisions have been made on certain things, and we're just trying to make sure those decisions are carried out.
Can you tell me if, or can you explain or express, have you seen a difference in what type of demeanor does it, or let me see how. So for Robinson, right, having to miss last week's first half,
Mm-hmm.
being able to come in the second half, this game he gets to play fully. Does it does it mess with the psyche of a player when they are in those positions? I was having this conversation with a friend, and it was like, I would really like to know what it's like for a player who's been hit with targeting,
Mm-hmm.
who can't play, because if it's in the second half, then that's real tough, right? So it's like, dang, what happened? Like, what is the psyche? Because I know it can really throw you off, especially if I'm a senior, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and say it's the last game of the year. What type of mood or what type of mental mood does that place players in?
You know what? I'm sure it does messes with his psyche a little bit, and the biggest reason, and you know why, and I know why, is because of the microwave society that we have. So it's
Right,
hard to keep his attention the whole first half and make sure he's paying attention to what's going on, what plays we have, what's being in tune and stuff like that. It's just trying to keep
right,
their attention on the sideline and trying to keep them in tune with the game and with the rhythm and the flow of the game. So I think it does mess with their psyche. And like you said, especially when it happens in the second half, because you got to sit out the first half now. Well, if it happens in the first half, you got to sit out the second half of the same game. It's pretty good. But when your mind is carrying over to the next game for that next week, I'm pretty sure it does mess with. I know practice last week, you could see him because we were still practicing like in the second half of practice, try to get him mentally prepared for that. But he'd be in the sideline, kind of jittery, not knowing what to do. Then when he got a chance to get in, he'd go in. So it was different this week because he's playing the whole game. So he's tuned in the whole day of practice. So it does mess with the psyche, if you ask me.
how has the injured players been responding since being able to take the field last week?
Oh, they're back. I mean, and the thing about it, they've come to me. A lot of guys say, Coach, man, what's going on? Am I going to get back in the game? I say, relax, man. You're going to get in the game. We just got to slowly work you back in. The last thing we want to do is put you here, push you here, and you twist the ankle, you twist the knee, and we're right back where we were before.
Right.
So it's more about them being anxious, wanting to get back on the field, making that decision that, hey, I'm ready to go, Coach. I'm good. Let's put me back in there. So those guys have been real good. The guys that we brought back even more now. We brought back our left tackle that we lost, against Bryant. Now he's back. We brought back our other safety that was hurt before. We finally brought him back. So we're getting that group back together, and we're doing a good job with it.
How do you navigate, or in our wow of the week, how do you determine your decision based off, when you say a player is coming to you? Because, as a player, when you're able to get, even if you're 20%, able to get on the field, you're going to say you can go.
Yeah.
How do you navigate in between when that player is fully capable ready, or he's capable but he's not all the way ready?
Well, the good thing as a head coach, it gives me an opportunity to walk around practice. So I know who's hurt and who's not hurt, who can do what, who can't do what. And I get with the trainer before practice, and he may tell me, like, let's take our center, for example, Luke. Luke's a guy, our trainer came to me and said, hey, coach, this week we need to slow him back a little bit because he played the full game. So let's give him like 2 teams this day and give him like 3 teams this day. So I got to make sure I stay on the O-line coach and say, hey, coach, we're done. And he doesn't want to be done for the day, and the young man don't want to be done for the day. But we're trying to make sure we keep him for future use. We want to make sure
Right.
he's there for us in the future games and getting things going. So it's more what our trainer telling me. And as I'm walking around watching guys, our running back Cyrus, Cyrus hurt his ankle, and he's been out for a couple of weeks now. And it's a situation I've been watching him. So I watched him today. I asked the running back coach, is he ready to go? He said, coach, I think he feels good. I asked the trainer, say, coach, he feels good, but still some of his cuts aren't there. I said, so let's keep a close eye on him and make sure he knows he's doing, because in his mind, Cyrus is ready to go now. So we got to make sure as I'm walking around practice, I'm paying attention to the guys that hurt, and I'm watching, see if they're limping, if they're giving it their all, if they're pulling up, if they're not going full speed, if they're not giving the effort they gave before. Those things become extremely important in practice.
How do we navigate in when it comes to a player who's really not ready, or a player who mentally is blocking because they know they were injured? So it may not be in response that I'm not going as full because I'm still injured, but mentally blocked from the injury that I had, that I'm on certain situations I'm not full throttling.
We have some guys like that right now who are coming off of surgeries from this past spring, and they had some major surgeries. So they may be physically, as I'm looking at them physically, they're ready to go. But they keep saying to me, hey, coach, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. And I don't want them to play. I was the kind of guy, if I was injured, I'm injured. I can't play. If I was hurt, let's get it going. Let's keep going. So I know what I want to do, and I want to be. You're never going to be at 100% as a football player. You know that, and I know that. Once you start playing this game, you're going to always hurt. If you're not
Right.
hurting by the end of the year, there's something wrong with you. You're not hitting anybody. That's what it boils down to. So you can
Yeah.
always play slightly hurt. But I also understand when a young man's coming off of an injury, and mentally he wants to make sure it doesn't happen again. So I want to make sure he's 100% sure in his mind, not 100% physically fit. 100% sure in his mind he's ready to go. He's going to make those hits. He's going to make those tackles. So once I hear that from him, he said, coach, I'm good to go. Mentally, we're ready to go. Because we can look at him physically, and the doctor can tell us, hey, he's clear. Everything's ready to
Yes.
go. But if he's still tentative when it comes to making a tackle, if he's still tentative when it comes to taking on a block, if he's still tentative when it comes to making a move, then I'm seeing that. I know he's not mentally ready to go. He may be physically ready, but he's not mentally ready to go.
Absolutely, and you hit it, because I've noticed I've never had a major injury.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hurt, but I've never
Right,
been injured.
right.
Fortunately, as my time from Pee Wee all the way, to senior, I've never been hurt. But I've been injured, and I mean I've been, hurt, not injured. And even, there were moments. I think one time I was like, I never knew when people say a high ankle sprain, like, what is
Yeah,
that? And then as a running back, knowing that, when I got to be shifty, I'm planting, I'm cutting, I'm spinning, whatever I need to do. And also my power coming from the legs when I'm trying to run through a defender. I noticed at times at first, I was apprehensive, and my body being healed, but mentally I was still stuck on the injury.
right.
Um, and it was a mental block that I had to get over. And
Absolutely.
so,
There's no doubt about it. And me playing linebacker, ankle may not bother me as much as it may bother you. Or me playing linebacker, A shoulder injury may affect me more than it may affect the offensive lineman, or it may affect the running back, or it may
Right.
affect the DB because I'm taking on blocks with my shoulder. So it all depends on the body part also, because with Cyrus, it's an ankle. But with our offensive lineman, it's also an ankle. But offensive lineman, he's feeling pretty good. He can tape it up a little bit tighter. Well, with our running back, we can tape it as tight as we need to be. When he's trying to be mobile, it's hard for him to be mobile with a high ankle sprain. So
Yeah.
it affects different guys differently. That's why as I'm walking around practice and I'm looking at those guys who had a knee, who had an ankle, who had a shoulder, what are they doing in practice to give me the indication that they're ready to play? So those are the
Right.
things that are important.
When you play in a city like Pittsburgh, where the weather, you
It's
know,
freezing.
can freeze them bones off. Does the weather has the weather ever played a part in whether or not you felt a player was ready? Whether or not maybe too stiff, the ankle not holding up. It's different because for me, I think that when it comes to ankle injuries now versus then, I think they have a lot of technology now that they use
Yeah,
that.
but I understand what you're saying, and to be honest with you, I have seen it affect players, but not so much injury wise. It's crazy you say this. Like we got some guys from Florida on our team, and when it gets down to 20 and it's a game, I have to watch them before the game to see if they're being tentative about hitting someone, because and I know you play in cold weather for the first time and you lay a hit on somebody, your
Yeah.
whole body just goes like almost into shock, like you shiver.
Shell
So you got to
shock.
get used to that hit because it's so cold. So it's more about what climate the guys are from as opposed to an injury as far as how they're doing. Like guys from the South, they don't deal with playing in cold very well. Whereas guys from Pittsburgh, like yourself, they don't really care too much about it. So it's one of those situations. That's where I look at more when it's cold. I look at our guys from the southern states as opposed to looking at injuries or anything like that. But it also goes down to injuries when it comes to things like, bottom line is, like last week, we were playing here, it was a little nippy, and our kicker, he had a pulled groin. And
Mm,
for the week in practice, he didn't want to kick because it was cold. And then on game
Titan.
day, he went out there and he missed the extra point, and he grabbed his groin. He said, "Coach, it's still so it was still tight because it was still a little bit chilly, and he just couldn't fight through it. So we just had to use the other kicker."
How would you, as a player from that sunny, warm weather, only dealing with rain, how would you navigate in a time where you had to go and play in cold weather consistently? How would you adjust to that?
I know when I was drafted, I ain't have much choice. I mean,
Hence,
they paid me to adjust to it, so it was a situation where, no, I think once you get there and once you understand the mindset and once you realize it's only for 60 minutes, 60 plus minutes, whatever situation may be, you can psych yourself out long enough to do it. And and I know once the adrenaline gets flowing, you don't really think about a whole lot. That's why you see a lot of guys that you take a Jack Youngblood, and people don't know. A lot of people don't know who Jack Youngblood is, but he broke his leg in a game years ago in the Super Bowl when he was with the Rams, and he told him tape it up, and he taped
yeah,
up his broken leg, and he went back out there and he played. It wasn't a serious break, but it was a break enough. He said tape it up because his adrenaline flowing. He was playing in the Super Bowl. He didn't know how many times he's gonna get a chance to play in the Super Bowl. So when you start thinking about stuff like that, guys have fought through a lot of pain when the adrenaline's flowing, so they can go through a lot of stuff when it's cold out.
I know our word of the week is decisions, but as a head coach, that is something that you guys are tasked with often.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions, whether it's down a distance, whether it's particular schemes, plays, personnels, etc. What goes into your decisions based week in, week out, despite the opponent that you're playing?
Well, probably the thing I'll take you through is like the last 4 minutes of a half and the first 4 minutes of the next half. And the reason we do that is because it all depends on how
Mhm.
great the team is. If the team's scoring fast on you, so let's say the team's got a big lead on you. They say they're up by 7, or whatever, maybe up by 21. So if
Right,
the offense is out there with the last 4 minutes and we don't get the ball the second
right.
half, then we're probably going to slow it way down to try to get in that daggum locker room and let's do some regrouping and put ourselves in a position to see if we can get back in this game. But let's say we don't get the ball the second half and we get it within the last 4 minutes. Then we're trying to get it in there and see if we can get another possession before we get off the field. So those are decisions are made, and based on the team that we're playing, we make those decisions of what you're talking about during the week. And the craziest decision, and I and you know this, and I know this, it's amazing that players still think this, Pitts. You always have those guys on your team who they're thinking that the coach is making a decision based on whether he likes me or he doesn't like me. It's like, oh, coach, man, it's personal, man. Y'all, I know I can get it done. And I always tell guys, I say, guys, we're 2-6. And I don't care if you're 2-6 or 6-2. I don't know a coach in America who is not going to play the best player to win football games. I don't care if he likes him or dislike him. So for players to think that we make decisions based on our emotions or based on how we feel, that's always crazy to me also. And the other decision that goes into a lot of things is who you're going to start. Who you're ready to play. Like prime example with Luke, our center, it was a situation where he's coming off an injury. And do we start him immediately? Do we not start? I know people say you can't lose a job for injury. That's in the pros. To me, that's in the pros. That's when you're paying guys to start. In college,
Right.
if a guy's performing, he's getting the job done, then he's going to be there when that guy gets back from injury. You got to beat him out. So, but Luke came back, and Luke was just a better player. So we decided to start him. It was a situation where we put him in the game because the guy that went in there was a redshirt freshman. He didn't have the experience Luke had. He wasn't pushing Luke. In the situation with Chicken was totally different with our quarterback. Our quarterback was having a good time, so we didn't put the other starting quarterback in there. So those are decisions that go into also when it comes to starting guys and not starting guys.
And when we talk about Chicken, what year is Chicken?
Chicken is a redshirt junior.
Right. So, I mean, when we talk about the progression of players, right, and you go into last year to this year, like he has elevated, and that's the one thing that you ask of players anytime, or not ask, but that's something that you would expect from
Mm-hmm.
players, with their maturation, their elevation. Is this player growing? Week in, week out, year by year, or is the level of play the same? And in a moment where you may have a player whose level of the play has been the same but not consistent, but then you have a player behind him who's actually have been playing a lot better. It's just that he's number two on the depth chart.
Mm-hmm.
How would you go about that type of situation if you have a player who is actually starting but he really has been outperformed by the number two guy?
It depends on what position, to be totally honest with you. What quarterback is a little bit trickier because there's
Let's
only
say
one
defensive back.
defensive back. If a number two's guy's out playing them number one guy in practice and everything else, we're gonna bump him up. We're gonna give him that opportunity because if he's out playing him, we need the best 11 on the field. We're not worried about anything else. It's like when you and I talked a couple weeks ago. Let's say we got a defensive tackle who's not performing the way we want to perform, but the defensive end, the second team defensive end is playing unbelievable every time we put him in the game. We're probably going to take that defensive end. Let's see if we can play three technique. Let's put
Yeah.
him inside and see if he can replace that guy who's not playing as well as we want him to play because he's one of our best 11. Years ago we started with a 4-man front. It was 4 defensive linemen. Well, we figured out our best 11 was a linebacker that could stand up and play D end. So we stood up the D end, and now we called the buck position, and we put him on the D line because that gave us our best 11 on the field. You got to realize whoever your best 11 are, that's who you want out there because that gives you the best opportunity to win football games.
I wanted to do a rapid fire, but not relevant to RMU, to get your opinion on these
Okay.
topics. Tush push.
Tush push. You know what?
As a defensive player, you've been a defensive player. What do you like or don't like about that play?
Well, obviously, as a head coach, I love the play because it's going to get a first down. But what I don't like about the play is not both ways. So now when the defensive player is trying to pull a guy off the pile, we're going to throw a flag. But when the offensive guy is pushing the quarterback from behind to get a first down, that's okay. So it goes both ways to me. If defensive guys trying to get a fumble off the ground and we're pulling guys off the pile, trying to get guys out of there, you can't do that. That's illegal. That's aggressive. But it's not aggressive for an offensive lineman. 2 offensive linemen come and take the quarterback and just drive him up as the other offensive lineman going underneath. So I got mixed emotions about it because as a head coach, obviously I love it. It gets you a first down. You're in a great position. But at the same time, as a defensive guy, I don't like it because it's kind of biased, which is football in general. It boils down to people love offense. Offense puts points on the board, so people love it.
I mean, Sport. We talked about this, so many times, but I feel that the rules definitely are. They're geared to helping the offense
Oh, they
longevity.
lean strongly offensively. They
I
lean
mean,
strongly offensively. There's no doubt
I
about it.
don't I don't like the fact that if it's 3rd and 19 and if I get an illegal contact, which is only 5 yards, but it's an automatic first
First
down.
down.
I don't like that rule because you give them the 5 yards, so now we're at 3rd and 14. But these automatic first downs for these egregious plays is asinine to me. Or blindside blocks. Okay, offense isn't supposed to do it, right? But
Right.
yet we still see subtle on blindside blocks. It may not be as crucial as it used to be, but we still see it, right? Or a pick play. Wide receivers doing pick plays. I just think that the defense plays at a disadvantage every game, game in, game out. Um, but those are the rules now. So
Yeah.
that's what we got to live.
The crazy one is what you just said. The blindside block is the one that probably gets to me because I don't understand how you get kicked out for targeting, but not a blindside block. Because a blindside block probably
Targeting,
hurts worse than targeting. Because and
but
a lot of times in targeting, you see the guy coming. But a blindside
right,
block, you don't see the guy coming. The guy basically just wipes you out. And for that not to be a disqualification, but for targeting to be a disqualification is that's kind of weird to me more than anything else. And probably the one that jumps out to me that's always bothered me is you can literally call holding every play in
you
football.
can
You can literally call holding every play. But holding by a DB, if he just grabs a wide receiver's shirt, they're going to throw a
right
flag.
thugs.
You got offensive linemen wrapping defensive linemen up, almost tackling them to the ground, and it's never called. And the referees say, well, it really didn't have anything to do with the play. No, it did have a lot to do with the play because if he not held him, maybe he made the sack or he'd have made the tackle. So that's probably the only one that bothers me because it could be called every play if we wanted to, but they don't because again, it goes back to, and I'm glad they don't call it on us. So trust me, as
Right.
long as it's consistent, I'm good with it. But it's a situation where it leans toward the offense.
As a NFL player, right? And you get hit with a fine. And we've seen a report that came out where Jalen Warren has been fined almost 40,000, twice already this year, where his game checks is only 50,000 a game.
Right.
Should fines be leveled according to pay in the NFL? The same fine that a TJ Watt may pay, should Jalen Warren be paying the same fine, knowing that it won't really hurt TJ Watt, whereas you're basically taking the whole game check away from another player?
Uh, I'd say make it a percentage. I mean, if you're going to do it,
Right.
it's make it a percentage of what they play. Yeah, I think that would be fair. I really do think that would be fair. But again, it goes back to compare an NFL player to a regular person. So I'm paying a $40,000 fine, but I'm making 50 grand. So I'm still taking off 10,000 as opposed to finding the local plumber. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it that way also. So it's a situation where I think it should be a percentage, but at the same time, you're still making an astronomical amount of money. Not that that makes a difference. I never get involved in what a guy's making. I always put it this way: I don't think anybody, coaches included, I don't think anybody should be paid two, three, four, five, six, $10 million a year. But there are people willing to do it. So absolutely, they should accept it. So that's how I look at it. I never look at the fact. I tell people all the time, as a coach, I
Hmm.
think salaries are getting crazy for coaches. I mean, to pay a guy 10 million, 8 million, 7 million, $5 million a year to coach football, I think
Right.
is outlandish. But at the same time, if someone offered it to me, absolutely I'm going to take it. So it's not a
Right.
situation where, but do I think somebody's worth it? I don't know. But should people take it? Absolutely, they should take it. If someone's willing to give it to you, you should take it. So I think it should be a percentage. But
Right.
I'm with you. I think it's a little much when a guy is making 50 grand a week and a guy is making 250 grand a week are paying the same amount of money.
How do we teach running backs to block linebackers that's blitzing freely at you to take on that blocker who may have a disadvantage in height, size, strength, and not to mention that they're coming at you full speed where you're more so standing ground?
There's
How
two. I
how
think there's two ways to do it. One, he's gonna have to. There's gonna be times he's gonna have to cut him. But two, putting your weight on the inside balls of your feet, making sure your knees are bent, putting yourself in a good position, and step to him as much as you can. Don't absorb the hit. Don't absorb the hit.
Mhm.
Step up into the line. The quicker you can get up into the line, the slower you may be coming out because now he's not gaining momentum. It's no different than as a linebacker, I would attack offensive linemen quicker because the
Right.
longer I waited for that 300 pounder to come off the line to get to me, the more trouble I was going to be in. So I would attack him at the line a lot faster as opposed to him getting speed up and getting to me. It's the same thing with a running back. A running back needs to step more into the line to make a block as opposed to waiting back. And he also has the advantage of sometimes I'm going to block you high, sometimes I'm going to block you low. So he has to mix it up, if you ask me, making the guy guess if he's going to cut him or making the guy guess if he's going to. Now it slows him down a little bit because he doesn't know if he's going to get cut, if he's going to get hit in the mouth.
As we pivot a little bit backwards, we talked about the weather early on and that you guys took the practice inside. So for Saturday, how do you, is there ways that you can, things that can be done to help keep the players warm other than those jackets? And I mean,
That's it. Sometimes they have heated benches, but we don't have that kind of budget to have heated benches. I know in the NFL they have heated benches and you can put your helmet on the heated thing
right,
that's blowing out and they have big heated fans on the side. We don't have that budget. So we have the jackets for the guys. And sometimes we'll put chicken broth on the sideline, make sure it's heated up and put it in a thermos and give them chicken broth to kind of warm them up a little bit while they're on the field.
okay, I ain't never heard of the chicken broth one. We're getting soup, the
Yeah.
Campbell soup commercial on the field.
So
what are your keys to the game for this week, Coach?
It's the same. It doesn't change. I mean, that's the good thing about it. We just got to slow the pace down. We got to get a little bit faster. We got to slow them down. We're talking about a team that's number one in the conference right now. Even though their record is 4-4, they're still 4-0 in the conference. And this is a good football team. The running back, like I told you, is an outstanding player. Their starting quarterback went down. The backup came in. And they had a great game plan for him. So they do a great job with their quarterback. And their D-line is stout. And they get after it more than anything else. So, again, we got to start fast. We can't afford to have turnovers. We can't afford to have self-inflicted wounds. And defensively, we're tackling better. So when I say start fast, let's say the defense goes on the field first. We got to go 3 and out. We can't let them get momentum. We got to slow them down. We got to try to get field position, like you and I always talk about. And our offense has to get out there. And that first drive, we got to get something. We got to get a field goal. We got to get a touchdown or something. And that's what I mean by starting fast, making sure we're moving methodically down the field, but punching it in the end zone or kicking the field goal. So we got to make sure we're doing those things. And on special teams, if we're going to kick it off, we got to make the tackle inside the 20. Or we got to kick it into the end zone and make them start at the 25. We got to make them have a long drive. And if we're returning it, we got to get it past the 25 and get it past the 30. Again, putting ourselves in good position because I told you when the ball starts at the -20, it's 1 in 30 chances of scoring. When it starts at the -40, it's 1 in 8 chances of scoring. So those things play a big role. So we want to start fast, but also play smart football.
Awesome. Look forward to execution Saturday, man. It's going down in cold, windy, chilly Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
No, it ain't in Pittsburgh this week. We're in Missouri. So
No, but Missouri weather. No, I'm saying Missouri's weather ain't no different.
oh no, it ain't no different. No, it ain't no different.
It's still gonna
They're
be
saying it's
chilly.
supposed to be 65 on Saturday though. So we'll find out.
Oh, so that's nice. That's good weather to them Floridians.
Exactly. Especially this one.
Man, but as much as always appreciated, Coach. I appreciate you. I appreciate our listeners and viewers for joining us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It's going down this Saturday, Execution Saturday with Coach Bernard Clark Jr., aka Tiger, Robert Morris University head coach. I am your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio, Pitt Sports Zone. See you on Saturday.
Let's go, Bobby Mo.
You ain't do the piece this time.
No, you told me I'm gonna get in trouble. So I'm
Martin gonna get you. Enjoy your Thursday, everyone.